Let's say, for the sake of argument, that it's 5 o'clock in the evening. Now, you receive a phone call inviting you to go rollerblading at the skating park near the mall. Let's also say your mother implores you to prevent a hostile alien invasion from annihilating the entire human race, as is your duty. You don't have the right to complain in this scenario, given that you have the strength of a combined 1,070 men. You may wish it were possible to walk outside in the rain without rusting, and you may even assert that this inconvenience is enough to fry your brain, as it were. But have you considered that this is just your lot in life? Should this not be the story of your life as a teenage robot? Fuck. Fuck. Oh my god, this is stupid fucking intro. Anyway, this video is about my life as a teenage robot.
Teenage robot life.
My life as a teenage robot was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. Given that my mother claims my favorite childhood movie was The Little Mermaid, I guess it shouldn't be all that surprising that I take feminizing hormones. The show follows Jenny Wakeman, a teenage girl who just wants to fit in with all the other teenagers at high school. There's just one problem. She's transgender. I mean, she's a robot. Okay, but seriously, while it wasn't intended by Rob Renzetti, the show's original creator, it's not hard to find a transgender allegory in the show. Mind you, this doesn't apply to every episode and moment in the show. Some of the things that Jenny deals with really are just about her being a robot/superhero. However, when she's not on the job, a lot of the time, her struggles feel pretty damn transgender.
Nobody in their right mind would want a body like mine.
Jenny's got it all. A mom who doesn't get the name and pronouns right.
Calm your circuits, XG Million, and stop embarrassing me.
Jenny.
Ooh, what?
Jenny! Call me Jenny! I changed my name to Jenny, remember?
Ugh.
Other teens who bully her for being transgender. Seriously, they might as well be calling her the T-slur here.
We must remember to call her when we have room for a full metal loser.
Why are we helping this circuit jerk? I thought the plan was to crush little Miss Tin Pants. Who want to partner up with your rusty rear?
2 chrome magnons and a walking blender. That titanium twerp.
And of course, a chaser.
Ah! Sheldon!
Hi, Jenny.
Why would you? Never mind.
Hey there, Shiny. What's cooking? Wow! Nice set!
Jenny's one desire is to live her life as a normal girl with the rest of her high school class. Crucially, the show doesn't present her as wrong for feeling this way. As the show's main character, and the person the audience is made to understand the most, we're given a lot of opportunity to empathize with her. Throughout the show, we see all the ways she's just like any other girl, and the ways she stands out. The writers explore the dysphoria she feels over her differences, but the show isn't shy about showing us why it's okay for her to be different. This is best exemplified through her best friend, Brad, who stands by her and doesn't really care about the fact that she wasn't born a cisgender girl.
Jenny, you don't need to suck up to Brit and Tiff to be popular. Just lighten up. Be yourself.
There are even whole episodes which support a transgender reading. In This Time with Feeling, Jenny feels dysphoric over the fact that she doesn't have a sense of touch, or more specifically, that she can't be tickled. She ends up fitting herself with experimental nerve endings which have settings for tickle and pain. During the episode, she finds the nerve endings to be more trouble than they're worth on both the tickle and pain settings, and ends up getting rid of them by the end. There are a couple episodes like this where she makes a body modification in an attempt to blend in before ultimately ditching it. But I chose this episode in particular because of the very bit at the end. Right before credits roll, we see that she's actually kept one of the nerve endings, indicating there were parts of the experience she wanted to keep. Maybe this smaller form is all she'll ever want, or maybe she'll try again in the future when her mother can build something a little more refined. This is actually a pretty good analog for exploring your own gender. As you're coming to know yourself, you may feel dysphoria over a lot of things, and that will mean you'll have lots of things to explore as you learn to feel comfortable. If you're scared of negative consequences or not liking something, this episode shows that it's okay to still try, even if it ends up not being for you. Jenny is able to try a new form of expression, learns that she doesn't like it, and modifies it to keep only the parts that she does like, and there's no reason you can't do the same. Not everyone is ticklish in the same spots, and not all people in a gender group have to express it the exact same way. The other episode I want to specifically point out here is the return of Raggedy Android. This one is about appealing to bigots and being one of the good ones. In the episode, we see Jenny attempt to spend time around her friends and classmate at Mesmer's, the cool diner that serves as the teen hangout spot. Unfortunately, Mr. Mesmer, the owner of the diner, is a bigot and refuses to serve robots in his establishment. He kicks Jenny out, and while Brad does come to her defense, Jenny understandably doesn't want to stick around. Distraught by this outcome, Jenny turns to her mother and asks if the exoskin from a previous episode has been improved since we last saw it. Nora shows the new version of the skin, which attaches itself to Jenny. Jenny wears the skin suit back to Mesmer's, finding that not only does she now convincingly pass as human, but she's also seen as a conventionally attractive and popular girl. While this initially seems to go her way, we quickly learn of the true conflict of this episode. Some space bikers show up to Mesmer's and start causing a scene. While normally one to break up a fight, Jenny finds herself holding back in order to blend in as a normal girl. A voice in her head tells her that
a normal young lady would let the boys handle this.
The next morning, we learn that the voice in her head is actually the voice of the exoskin, which tells her that, with the aid of the artificial skin, Jenny can be beautiful and popular all the time.
Wouldn't we rather be beautiful in a normal way? Beauty is a 24-hour job. We can't just look like a normal girl. We have to behave like a normal girl. Believe we're a normal girl. A normal girl can do anything.
Jenny seems a little conflicted about this, but ultimately returns to Mesmer's wearing the exoskin. The bikers show up once again to wreck the place, and Jenny once again holds back, this time a bit more willingly, even actively ignoring the pleas of Brad. It's not until Brad actively steps in and puts himself in danger that Jenny realizes her mistake and she begins fighting with her exoskin. She ultimately decides to abandon her position as popular and conventionally attractive in order to save everyone. Even after Jenny has saved the day, Mr. Mesmer still chooses bigotry and kicks Jenny out. This time though, Brad chooses to step in and quit his job, preferring to stand by his friend over remaining employed. The rest of the kids leave the establishment as well, because I guess they really only recognize bigotry when it happens to someone who's actively benefiting them in the moment. With this episode, we can draw some parallels to the concept of passing and how it relates to bigotry. Passing is a somewhat difficult topic in the transgender community, and I'm not going to be able to do justice to all the nuances in this video. To summarize in brief, passing is the idea of a transgender person being viewed the same as a cisgender person and not singled out as transgender. They're passing as cis, as it were. Obviously, passing applies more heavily to people who identify with the binary gender, and is rooted in adherence to at least some gender norms. I'm of the opinion that passing isn't important, and what matters more is whether you feel comfortable in your own body. Whether or not you care about passing is up to you, and as long as you're not trying to police other people's bodies, you're okay in my book. In this episode, we can see a potential danger to passing. Jenny isn't trying to pass for herself or her own comfort. Instead, she's passing to appease the bigoted Mr. Mesmer. In the process of trying to pass for the sake of other people, particularly a bigoted shop owner, Jenny loses herself. Gender norms, fitting in, and being one of the good ones all become more important to her than any of her morals and obligations, and she ends up ignoring the plight of others to literally save her own skin. From this, we can extract an actually pretty good lesson. It's okay for you as a trans person to want to pass as your gender, just don't let that goal become more important than your morals, and don't ignore the struggles of others. Passing may be important to you, but it may not be important to other transgender folks, including non-binary people. You may be comfortable passing through certain gender roles, but you should always be on the lookout for how those roles are wielded against others. As a white transgender woman, I find I have a fairly easy time passing without much effort on my part. And I'm also deeply aware that the gender norms I slot so easily into are unfairly used to exclude people of color. The common conceptions of womanhood are often built around white women exclusively, and failure to adhere to those conceptions is used to otherize women of color, both transgender and cisgender. Whether or not you care about passing, you should always be aware of how gender norms are used to enforce bigotry. Passing can often be a fragile thing since it's based on other people's fickle perceptions. It's better to sacrifice your ability to pass around bigots than to allow bigotry to stand free. Now, obviously, I'm not really discussing passing here when it comes to matters of safety. Everyone's life is different, and obviously, you're going to know what actions you need to take in order to keep yourself safe. My Life as a Teenage Robot is an important show to me. It's not perfect, but few shows can be. After coming out, I found myself revisiting the show and empathizing more deeply with Jenny than I had before.
You'll never destroy my daughter! She called me her daughter!
That line just hits different when you come from the country with this flag. Now, if you're not convinced of the transgender allegory here, I do have one final bit of evidence. Jenny Wakeman is also gay.
Okay, that's enough! Ooh, pretty.
That's why I like you, Jenny. You're so crazy. See you at school. Get home safe.
Thanks! But I don't know if I want to go home.
You can help us decorate for the Tri-Millennial. Jenny! Come on, we're getting you out of here.
Try using your boosters.
Oh, right. There are going to be a lot of changes on Cluster Prime, and I would love to have someone I trust help me rule.
Misty!
Hey, Jen, how are you doing?
Finally, a girlfriend to hang with. This is the best! Who knew you could spend the whole weekend on the telephone?
Come on, you guys.
We're girls, thank you very much.
And we're bonding,
Sharing our innermost feelings.
opening up to each other,
Ew, gross!
and accessorizing. Wow, school is actually fun when you have a girlfriend to share it with.
In all seriousness, this is where the video ends. Jenny has remained an important character to me for much of my life. When Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was announced, she was the only character I advocated for as DLC, and I'm glad to see she's returned to the roster in the second game. I just wish I had the money for it. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll watch again in the next one.